This is your gaming weekly news. Forza Horizon 5 is officially announced to come to the PlayStation 5 and PS5 Pro console April 29th, and it's coming with a whole new feature set. Horizon Realms with all new tracks, an oval track, a switchback, which means that Playground Games has been hard at work fully fleshing out this version of Forza Horizon 5 to come to PlayStation 5 and this update to come to PC and Xbox consoles. In fact, this version of Forza Horizon 5 is getting full enhanced treatment for the PS5 Pro console, which launched last year. It says on PS5 Pro, the performance mode receives increased visual fidelity, while quality mode adds ray-traced car reflections to races and free roam. The Xbox Series X version looks incredible right now in performance mode, which runs at an internal resolution around 1296p, which is upscaled to 4K 60 on Xbox Series X. PS5 Pro will get much higher resolution for Forza Horizon 5, which might bring it closer to 1440p or even higher with PSSR enabled. The game is coming in at PlayStation for $60 and will not include any of the Ultimate Car Packs or all DLC like the Hot Wheels expansion that will be purchased separately. One major concern with Forza Horizon 5, besides the people that are upset that the game is coming to another competing console, is that Playground Games has been so busy building up this final version, the full complete package for PlayStation 5 and the update for Xbox. Are they ready to show us the next Forza Horizon 6 game? Playground Games is made up of two studios, one working on Forza Horizon and the other in a separate location studio called St. Albans working on Fable. News broke this week thanks to Craig Duncan's head of studios for Xbox that Fable needed an additional delay and was to be pushed into 2026. In the past, Xbox had marketed Fable to be a 2025 release, but with some 9 months going until the end of 2025, with them at the beginning of the year saying that they're delaying the game into 2026, odds are is that Fable is probably being pushed into late 2026, and here's why. If Playground Games knew that Fable was supposed to release sometime at the end of the year, many are speculating that Fable was pushed out of the way of Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't believe that's the case. If Playground Games knew that they were supposed to hit some window of holiday in October, November, or December of 2025, and they're saying early now at the end of February that they're not going to hit the 2025 window, I would think a spring release in 26 is not possible for Fable. They need much more time to get the game ready, and I think we'll be looking at a more realistic date of that being another holiday release being pushed at the end of 2026. What we've seen here and that I covered on this channel is some really cool gameplay. Some of the animations, people are complaining about the stiffness of the character with the swordplay. This is pre-alpha footage, but this game is already supposed to be ready to show, ready to release in the next year or so. So any concerns that you're seeing now are probably something you should keep an eye out for Fable. Playground Games never misses. They're an incredible team, and they have been known to create high quality games, and I wouldn't expect any less from Fable. So to say a phrase like, I'm expecting Fable to be totally incredible or be a high-rated, great quality game is not that far off. I sure hope this extra time really means that the world is fleshed out. There were also leaks and rumors going around that are completely unfounded that Fable was an absolute mess and that there's major trouble in the studio that's developing games, and guess what? That happens in every single studio. Every game goes through major troubles as they finally get a game off the ground. I wouldn't say it's out of the running for Fable to be shown at this year's June showcase in a few months to have some more gameplay and see what the game looks like, even though they'll have it set to a later date in 2026. I would expect Xbox and Playground Games to string players along, get them excited about Fable, and tell them it's coming out sometime in 2026, and then move that date and be ready for the end of that year. Assassin's Creed Shadows and Ubisoft cannot catch a break, and there was a huge leak for Assassin's Creed Shadows, an actual physical leak where physical copies of the game were distributed out to people and they were played and streamed. Story beats were shared online. It's been a huge mess. And Ubisoft is already in an incredibly impossible uphill battle with Assassin's Creed Shadows, with the player character Yasuke being a major problem, the game having middling previews among content creators and journalists, and the franchise itself suffering from so much oversaturation. Personally, I'm really looking forward to Assassin's Creed Shadows. I will be reviewing the game. I'll get access to it very soon. I'll be under NDA at that point, or under embargo where I can't talk about it. And Assassin's Creed Shadows is absolutely cursed. Ubisoft had this to say about the leak. We are aware players have accessed Assassin's Creed Shadows ahead of its official release. The development team is still working on patches to prepare the experience for launch, and any footage shared online does not represent the final quality of the game. Leaks are unfortunate and can diminish the excitement for players. We kindly ask you not to spoil the experience for others. Thank you to our community for already taking steps to protect everyone from spoilers. Stay in the shadows, avoid the spoilers, and keep an eye on our channel for more official surprises in the coming weeks. March 20 will be here soon. Close quote. In fact, I've heard that some of the people who are streaming the game or sharing the stuff online, leaks that I haven't even looked at because I too want to be surprised about Assassin's Creed Shadows. They're saying the game's surprisingly good, looks amazing, and it has a big, great open world that I can't wait to explore. I'll say this now, since I'm not yet under embargo and have not got access to the game, I expect Assassin's Creed Shadows to come in at around a low 80 and to be a great game and to really be a game that Assassin's Creed fans can enjoy. But I really hope for the sake of Ubisoft and a franchise that I love, that they go above and beyond, and Assassin's Creed shocks, surprises, and delights, because in this current games industry market, that's something we sorely need from everybody. And speaking of other franchises that can't die, Warner Brothers Games is under major turmoil. This has been covered and reported and rumored for a long time, and it's finally come to a head with 3 major studios closing down, and Warner Brothers themselves saying they're giving up on some of their prized IPs and giving up on an IP that is one of the biggest in the world. Jason Schreier from Bloomberg reported that Warner Brothers had canceled its Wonder Woman game and shut down multiple studios. He broke the news on Tuesday this week that Monolith Productions, the team behind Wonder Woman, Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, and Shadow of War, also working on the Wonder Woman game, which was some $200 million over budget, incomplete, and was completely canceled this year. Along with that, Warner Brothers closed down Player First Games and WB San Diego. And they said, quote, they are reflecting a refocus of the games division on major franchises, such as Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, and DC Comics, primarily Batman. The Wonder Woman game, which had fans like me very excited about a Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor style game with the Nemesis system, playing as Wonder Woman, sound very promising. But now the Nemesis system is conveniently locked behind Warner Brothers' inability to create a game in that proprietary software. The Nemesis allowed you to chain a hierarchy of player characters or NPCs. In the case of Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, where you had a hierarchy of enemies and their lieutenants and their captains. It was reported that the Wonder Woman game would have you befriending friendly NPCs and building up an army to fight alongside you. All of that has been scrapped. Warner Brothers has had such a tough time, as they have not returned back to the Batman Arkham series in almost a decade. They put out Suicide Squad, which was one of the biggest flops and failures in the games industry, turned around and made Gotham Knights as well, which is also a major failure, a game that I actually enjoyed. And then Warner Brothers has the gall to say that they didn't want to work on the Lord of the Rings franchise. Instead, they've concentrated on some live service games like Multiverses, which didn't take off or didn't hold on, and then a Harry Potter Quidditch game that nobody wanted that completely failed and lost the company hundreds of millions of dollars. And this ties into a recent interview with Matt Piscatella, the head of Circana and the MPD group that reports on sales figures across North America with physical, digital, and console sales. He talked to Kinda Funny Games about the current AAA and Western developers games industry that is in massive turmoil. And as many people say, this AAA industry is cooked. The Western development market is having such a hard time with longevity and having games be successful and franchises surviving. Some of the obstacles that the Western market has are higher salary ranges for game developers as compared to the Asian markets or European markets, where it costs them far less to make bigger and better games. But that's not the only problem. Matt Piscatella in this interview showed that some 12% of gaming fans are the ones buying all of these AAA open world action adventure franchise-based single player games. It's become a niche product in the market. The younger generation doesn't care about the next Harry Potter or next open world action adventure game. They really care about the game they sit down and play with their friends every single night. Fortnite, Roblox, and the like. Games that are just service-based, and it becomes a home for younger players. And that's where over 70% of the market is spending their money on games that already exist and that thrive online. And he said, quote, over 70% of US active PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series console players played at least one of the top 10 live service games the month of January. More than 40% of all time spent playing on PS5 and Xbox Series consoles in the US during January went to those top 10 live service games. This is why we're seeing a major push for multi-platform games like Xbox putting their games on PlayStation and PlayStation shortening the window to bring their games to PC so that their franchises and single-player games, which already have a very limited audience for longevity, are able to thrive by being available to more players, be that on PC or being on all consoles simultaneously. Over the coming year, we're going to see a shift and change in the way games are developed, in ways that games are focused to their audience, and also see an integration of AI to speed up the development process and lower the cost, especially in the Western market, for how long games take to make and how much money they cost the studio and publisher. And that's your gaming weekly news. This is Colteastwood. Thank you so much for checking out this video. And if you're here and you stayed this long, thank you so much, especially with a forward-facing negative video. I've done this gaming weekly news segment now. This is the 16th episode, and this is one of the very few that we just had to talk about how much of a rough week it's been for some big studios. If you ended up enjoying this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of new weekly content. If you want to further support what we're doing here on the Colteastwood channel, you can do that by hitting the join button below. That will get you early access to monthly merch giveaways, early access for videos, and so much more. Also, check out the Patreon. All this stuff is in the description if you want to check that out as well. Thank you for your support. Also, check out the Ecstasy Podcast. It's a weekly podcast we do for about 2 hours here on the channel. You'll see that with Meg and I talking about the games industry, leaks, rumors, upcoming games, and so much more, and more nuanced discussion than it can fit in about a 15-minute video. But let me know what you think about this gaming news. How are you feeling about Forza Horizon officially coming to PlayStation 5? How are you feeling about the Fable Delayed? Do you like what you see? And let me know what you expect from Warner Brothers and what they need to make next. And while you do that, as I always say, please be nice.